Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Hope you all are doing well. Today I've got a quick tutorial where we're going to do something fun. We're going to use one EQ, and in this case, it is a Pultec style tube EQ. And we're going to use this to fatten up a kick drum. So if you have a kick sample that maybe you like the tone, maybe it's got some good low end there, but you want to take it to the next level and make it really thunderous and boomy in the low end, give it some mid frequencies that are going to help it poke through the mix. This is a great EQ to do it. Now I'm using the Vintage Tube EQ, which is a stock plugin in Logic Pro X, but there are tons of Pultec style EQs out there. They're going to give you a very similar tone. They also have a very unique way of creating the EQ curves by boosting and attenuating in combination. And this is unique to our Pultec style of EQ. So let's go ahead and play this beat back, and then we're going to jump into fattening up our kick drum sample. This is produced by Don Coda. All right, so we've already got some nice low in there. Just going to take it up a notch in terms of what's going on right now. The Pultec or the Vintage Tube EQ, nothing going on yet. We're not boosting or attenuating, but I do have the Pro L2, which is a brick wall limiter, just to keep us from clipping while we're doing these boosts, because this EQ can get a little heavy as we warm things up with the tube sort of emulation. So let's go ahead and start with our low boost. This is my favorite section of the Pultec style EQ. You have a very, very low frequency to dial in here. You can go all the way to 20 hertz. Now, some people out there go, well, 20 hertz is not really something you can actually hear. It's more of something that can be felt, which is true. However, with these EQs, what happens is we end up actually boosting a little bit higher than that. So by putting it down here, we get some nice results. I like to put it at around 30 hertz, and then we just do a boost of maybe a couple dB, few dB, just to give us that thunderous low end to the kick. So already you can hear we're thickening things up down low. Now let's go over to our high boost section, and we're going to add a little bit of mid frequencies or low mids. Let's say 3K, somewhere in here. And we're doing this so that we can create more of a clicky kind of transient, still a warmer click, not so high. We're going to do some higher stuff down here in this other section. But for now, about 3K, and we're going to do an aggressive boost to get a little bit more of a transient here. So the next thing we want to do is, specifically with the Logic Pro X Vintage Tube EQ, we have these output models, which are basically just replicating the behavior of the outputs of some of these vintage EQs that these plugins are simulating or emulating. So we're going to go to the Silky, which is the corresponding output for our Vintage Tube EQ, and we're going to just subtly give it some drive here. So you can hear as I went all the way to the right side, we get more of a distortion, and it takes away a lot of the weight of the kick drum. So we don't want to do that. This is going to be more of a subtle, warm saturation, just sending it through that output model with the drive. This is just a different style of Pultec EQ, and they combined them in one plugin, so you've got more control. And what we're going to do with this one down here is we're going to add a little bit of 800, just again to give us a little bit more weight in the kick drum. So I'm just adding maybe a dB there. And then we're going to go to our dip, which is an attenuation here. And we're going to put this at, say, like 1.2K, somewhere in the 1K range. And we're going to dip it a couple of dB. And that's just going to take out a little bit of the harshness in that 1K range. If we introduced more of the click up here, it's going to take out some of the unpleasant results of that. And then finally, we're going to go over here and we're going to go to about 5K, and we're going to get pretty aggressive with this peak. I'll probably crank it all the way up. And again, this is just creating more of that clicky transient. So you can hear that just made it a lot more punchy. So it sounded pretty good, y'all. Let's go ahead and I'm going to turn it off and I'll let you hear it with it disabled and enabled here. So as you can hear, we've got a much rounder, fatter, more impactful kick, nice low end, and we've added some of those mids to give us a nice clicky transient. One thing I do want to caution you about real quick is you notice that I did some very aggressive high boosts for our high frequencies. It's because there wasn't a lot of high frequency information in the kick drum to begin with. So we're basically just adding either a lot of air, or we're adding just some subtleties in terms of the way that the curve is hitting. It's probably increasing some of the highest points of the signal. So in this way, it works out really well. But if you have a kick that has a lot of that information, these boosts are going to be a little bit more conservative. So just something to take note of. If you're looking to get a little bit more thunder in the low end and have something that's going to poke through at, say, an 808 or just the mix as a whole, this is going to be the best option for you, in my opinion. So if you have any questions about using Pultec style EQ plugins on your kick drums, feel free to leave a comment below. If you learned anything in the video, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing. I will talk to you soon.